Hello and welcome to our video on solving linear equalities. Now previously we've been looking at solving equations that look like this with an equal sign in them, and all we're going to do is change it around to now have an inequality sign in there. When you do this, you can mostly follow the same rules that you do when you're solving normal linear equations. So you just need to keep the inequality sign there instead of the equal sign, and keep it, go all the way through, and your final answer will, instead of x equals a number, it will be x is greater than or less than or equal to, or whatever the original inequality sign is. That's what your solution will look like. When you are solving inequalities, you need to make sure that you don't change the side of different equations. So previously when we were looking at solving linear equations, it was okay to just move things from one side to the other really easily and flip the sides around. If you do that, then you need to change the sign. So I've got two things that you need to keep in mind. The one I just mentioned, we reverse the inequality sign if the sides are switched. So if you've got 2 is greater than or equal to x and you want to make it for your final answer, because your final answer needs to start with x. So you flip the x around the other side and you flip the inequality sign around. A good way to remember that is to look at which direction is the sign pointing to. It's pointing towards the x, so then you move the x over here and keep the sign pointing towards the x. The second thing to remember is if we multiply or divide by a negative number while you're trying to solve your equation, then you need to reverse the inequality sign. For example, if you've got negative 5 equals negative 3, and you wanted to get rid of the negative signs, you could just divide by negative 1, get rid of the negative signs, and you would need to flip this inequality sign around to the opposite. Here's a better example. If negative 2x is less than 4, and to get x by itself, you need to divide by negative 2, both sides. Do the same to both sides. But because we're dividing by a negative, then we need to flip the sign. So this sign pointing towards a 2x now points the other direction towards the right-hand side, and you get x is greater than negative 2. Let's try some examples. If you are feeling confident with this, you might like to pause the video now and have a go at these yourself. Otherwise, keep watching for the solutions. Hopefully you've had a minute to have a go at these. Remember, when you've got your inequality sign, just treat it exactly like an equal sign until you multiply or divide by a negative number, or if you're switching the sides. So 3x plus 4 is greater than 13. First thing I'm going to do is take away 4 from both sides. 3x is greater than 9. Now I'm going to divide by 3. X is greater than 3. We didn't divide by any negative numbers, so we don't need to change the sign at all. So that's your final solution. Second example, 4 take away x over 3 is less than or equal to 6. So we're just going to keep this less than or equal to sign the same. First thing I'm going to do is not add 4, subtract 4 from both sides. Negative x on 3 is less than or equal to 2. Now I'm going to multiply by 3. And finally, I've got negative x on this side. Remember, this is negative 1, so I'll divide by negative 1. and I need to flip this sign, so it's pointing this towards the left. I'm going to point it towards the right, keep the equals greater than or equals. This becomes x, 6 divided by negative 1 is negative 6. Last one, 6x, take 3x. I'm going to take 3x from both sides. 2 is greater than 3x minus 4. I'm going to add 4 to both sides. 6 is greater than 3x. I'm going to divide by 3. 2 is greater than x. And because we want to write this with the x first, I'm just going to rewrite it. The arrow is pointing towards the x, so keep it pointing towards the x. X is less than 2. That's your final solution. Thanks for watching the video.